Today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite foods and possibly one of yours, nut butter. And that's going to cover basically peanut butter and almond butter for simplicity. But pretty much all of the things we're going to discuss can be applied to all different types of nut butter. So keep watching, and at the end, we'll go over some of my top picks for different peanut butter and almond butter brands and some potential ones to avoid. So what should you look for when picking out a nut butter? Well, not just fancy packaging, because a lot of times the marketing can really play tricks on you. So you really have to just kind of take a quick look at the nutrition facts. And if you know how to read the label, it's actually pretty easy. So some of the more common brands, which I will classify on ones to avoid, are Skippy and Jif, Peter Pan. So those are some of the ones that I would say probably to avoid getting. We'll take a look at some of those right now. So if you take a look here at the nutrition label on Skippy, you'll see hydrogenated oils, number one. So that's an obvious one that most people know to avoid. Also, sugar as a top ingredient. So there's really no reason to be adding these things into a nut butter. So if you are looking for something that's natural and as healthy as possible, the main ingredients should be peanuts and maybe salt, and that's it. So for simplicity, if you see anything else beyond that on the ingredients list, you should probably not get it. Again, let's take another look here at Jif. So Jif, pretty similar. You can kind of see how it stacks up with the Skippy. So relatively the same in terms of calories and fat, but if you're talking about the ingredients themselves, you really want to try to avoid any added sugars, hydrogenated oils, and palm oil as well. One thing to be aware of is that the packaging and marketing can be tricky sometimes. So even if it might say natural on the front or heart healthy, things like that nutritionally don't really mean anything. It's just a way to get you to actually buy the product. So that's why it's important to really look at the ingredients and the nutrition facts. So another one that might be something that you would opt for because it's organic and a popular brand. Not saying it's a bad product, but just again, look at the ingredients. So this one is Justin's. So Justin's peanut butter ingredients look pretty good. The only thing is that they add palm oil in there. And the reason for that is that the palm oil will prevent the oil separation. So if you're someone who doesn't like to stir their peanut butter, and maybe if you buy one that has the oil in it, you pour it out, that's really not the best option. So if you're looking for the most natural kind of peanut butter and the healthiest version, you should be buying peanut butter or almond butter that has the oil in there, and then you just simply stir it. So it might be annoying to stir for a few minutes, but in terms of getting the healthiest nut butter option, that's really what you want to be doing. So the palm oil is what's going to be added to a healthy peanut butter to prevent it from the oil separation. So my recommendation would be to choose a product that does not have palm oil in it, because the palm oil that's used in this process is refined, and that's what makes it unhealthy. So let's take a look at a couple of other brands that I would highly recommend. One of them is Smucker's, and that's the Smucker's organic kind. So again, you look at the ingredients and all you see is peanuts and perhaps a touch of salt, depending on which one you get. And that's really what you want to see. Another example would be, my personal favorite is Santa Cruz organic peanut butter. Again, all you're getting in there is just peanuts and salt. So yes, when you open the jar, there's going to be that oil in there, and it takes a few minutes to stir it up. But one trick you can kind of use to make that process a little bit easier is to store the jar upside down. So even if it's only in your pantry for a few days, storing it upside down will help kind of start that mixing process a little bit earlier, so that when you actually open it up and you turn it back right side over and you open it up and mix it up, it's a little bit easier to kind of get that oil to stir up and make it a little bit more creamy. So again, just to recap, read those labels. That's the most important thing. And just keep an eye out for things to avoid. And those would be hydrogenated oils and added sugar, and anything that's kind of in those categories. And if you can, really try to avoid the palm oil and just suck it up and mix the peanut butter. So it's really not a big deal. Once you do it a few times, it just becomes, the thing you do with the peanut butter. So let's talk about, just to summarize things up, the last few brands I would recommend and brands to avoid. So we kind of touched on some of them earlier, but brands I recommend: Santa Cruz peanut butter. The Whole Foods 365 brand is excellent for both peanut butter and almond butter. Smucker's Organic, another great peanut butter. And these are just a few of the ones that I particularly like. There's a lot more other ones out there that are definitely healthy. And the ones to avoid, as we went over, discussed earlier, the Jif variety that has added sugar and hydrogenated oils, as well as Skippy, Peter Pan, and some of those other related brands. So hope this was helpful, and put it to work in your food shopping. And as always, have a healthy and happy day.